Simpler. 1 week, 7 days. That's all it took to shift my mindset, my energy, my focus, and my direction. Not 1 year, not 6 months, not someday. Just one disciplined week of intentional habits. Most people wait for motivation. Most people wait for the perfect time. But success does not wait, it responds to action. If you feel stuck, distracted, inconsistent, what I'm about to share can reset your entire trajectory in just 7 days. Responsibility is the moment you stop pointing outward and start looking inward. It is the line that separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. The average person blames circumstances, timing, other people, and bad luck. The powerful person says, if it is to be, it is up to me. That shift alone changes the direction of a life. When you accept responsibility, you stop being a victim of events and become a creator of outcomes. Blame feels comfortable because it protects the ego. Responsibility feels heavy because it demands action. But inside that weight is strength. Inside that pressure is growth. Diamonds are formed under pressure, not comfort. There is a deep spiritual principle here. Every faith teaches accountability. We are taught that our actions matter, that our choices carry consequences, that we are stewards of our time, our talents, and our opportunities. On the day of judgment, no one will stand beside you to answer for your effort. You will answer for what you did with what you were given. That thought alone should awaken something powerful inside you. You were not created to live accidentally. You were entrusted with ability, intelligence, breath, and opportunity. To waste them and blame others is to deny that trust. Responsibility is not punishment, it is honor. It means you believe you were given the capacity to act, to improve, to correct, to rise. Emotionally, responsibility can sting. It forces you to confront uncomfortable truths. It makes you admit where you were lazy, distracted, inconsistent, or fearful. It removes the comfort of excuses, but it also removes helplessness. And helplessness is far more dangerous than discomfort. When you take responsibility, something shifts in your posture, in your tone, in your confidence. You begin to think differently. Instead of saying, why does this always happen to me? You say, what can I learn from this? Instead of feeling trapped, you begin to feel capable. Instead of feeling small, you begin to feel strong. Responsibility is the birthplace of discipline, and discipline is the architect of freedom. When you own your mornings, your finances, your health, your words, your habits, you reclaim power over your life. The person who owns their schedule owns their future. The person who owns their mistakes accelerates their growth. There is also a deep emotional relief in responsibility. It may feel heavy at first, but it frees you from resentment. You stop carrying anger toward others because you realize your progress is not dependent on them. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You start moving. The moment you say, this is my fault, you also say, this is my opportunity. That statement transforms pain into possibility. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every failure becomes instruction. Every disappointment becomes fuel. Spiritually, responsibility aligns you with purpose. When you act with ownership, you honor the gifts placed inside you. You treat your time as sacred. You treat your effort as worship. You understand that excellence is not just ambition, it is gratitude expressed through action. Responsibility builds character, and character builds credibility, and credibility builds influence. But it all begins with the courage to say, I am responsible. When you fully accept that your choices shape your destiny, fear loses its grip. You no longer fear mistakes because you know you can correct them. You no longer fear hardship because you know you can endure it. You no longer fear the future because you understand you are shaping it daily. Power is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is not dramatic. Real power is quiet ownership. It is waking up early when no one is watching. It is correcting yourself when you could easily justify. It is choosing growth over comfort. Responsibility does not make life easier. It makes you stronger. It does not remove obstacles. It makes you capable of overcoming them. It does not guarantee success. It guarantees progress, and progress changes everything. How you start your morning determines how you live your day, and how you live your days determines how you live your life. Morning is not just a time on the clock. It is a decision point. It is the foundation. It is the first vote you cast for the kind of person you are becoming. When you wake up, you are standing at the edge of possibility. The question is not what time it is. The question is who you will be in the first hour. Most people lose their day before it even begins. They wake up and immediately surrender their attention. They check their phone. They react to messages. They scroll through other people's lives. They start their day in reaction instead of intention. And when you begin your morning in reaction, you spend the rest of the day catching up. Momentum is a powerful force. Once something starts moving in a direction, it becomes easier to continue in that direction. If your morning begins with distraction, your day leans toward distraction. If your morning begins with discipline, your day leans toward discipline. There is something deeply spiritual about the morning. It is quiet. It is calm. It is pure. It is a gift. Every sunrise is mercy. Every breath you take in the early hours is another opportunity granted to you. Many people prayed for another day and did not receive it. You did. That alone should stir gratitude and responsibility inside you. When you wake up, you are not just waking up physically. You are waking up to purpose. The morning is sacred ground. It is a moment to align your heart, your thoughts, and your direction. When you begin your day with gratitude, prayer, reflection, or intentional planning, you are not just organizing tasks, you are organizing your spirit. Emotionally, mornings are powerful because your mind is fresh. Your willpower is strongest. Your focus is sharpest. If you invest that energy wisely, you multiply its effect. But if you waste it, you weaken the rest of your day. The person who wins the morning gains confidence, and confidence creates momentum. When you make your bed, move your body, read something meaningful, or write down your priorities, you send a message to yourself. I am in control. I am intentional. I am serious about my life. And that message matters because your brain listens to what you repeatedly do. If you repeatedly snooze your alarm, you teach yourself delay. If you repeatedly wake up with purpose, you teach yourself discipline. Over time, that identity becomes permanent. There is also a deep emotional reward in a strong morning. You walk into your day already accomplished, already aligned, already prepared. While others are rushing, you are steady. While others are scattered, you are focused. That calm confidence builds internal strength. Mornings are where excuses are defeated. It is easy to promise change at night. It is easy to say, tomorrow will be different. But the real battle is fought when the alarm rings. In that moment, you either choose comfort or growth, and that choice, repeated daily, shapes destiny. When you honor your morning, you honor your potential. You respect your time. You treat your life as valuable. You understand that success is not built in dramatic moments, but in quiet disciplines. A powerful morning does not require perfection. It requires intention. Even one focused hour can shift the entire tone of your day. 1 hour of clarity can prevent 8 hours of confusion. 1 hour of discipline can eliminate a day of regret. Momentum is not created by accident. It is created by consistent beginnings. And the strongest beginnings happen in the morning. If you want a powerful life, build powerful mornings. If you want confidence, earn it before the world wakes up. If you want clarity, seek it in the quiet hours. The day does not control you. You control the day. And it begins the moment you open your eyes. Emotion is powerful. It can inspire you. It can excite you. It can push you for a moment. But discipline sustains you. Emotion says, I feel motivated today. Discipline says, I will do it whether I feel like it or not. That is the difference between temporary progress and permanent transformation. Most people build their lives on how they feel. If they feel good, they work hard. If they feel tired, they rest. If they feel inspired, they act. If they feel discouraged, they stop. Their results rise and fall with their mood. And mood is unstable. Discipline does not consult emotion. It consults commitment. There is something deeply spiritual about discipline. It is self-control. And self-control has always been described as strength. Not the strength of muscle, but the strength of character. Many sacred teachings emphasize mastering the self before trying to master the world. Because the greatest battle you will ever fight is not outside of you, it is inside you. Your desires pull you in one direction. Your fears pull you in another. Your comfort whispers, stay where you are. But discipline says, move forward. And when you choose discipline, you rise above impulse. You rise above weakness. You rise above excuses. Emotion is loud but short-lived. Discipline is quiet but long-lasting. Emotion will tell you to skip the workout. Discipline will tell you your body deserves better. Emotion will tell you to delay your work. Discipline will remind you that your future is built today. Emotion will tell you to quit when it gets hard. Discipline will say that difficulty is part of growth. Think about this. The most painful regrets in life rarely come from doing what was necessary. They come from not doing what was required because we didn't feel like it. How many dreams have been buried under temporary moods? How many goals were abandoned because feelings changed? Feelings change every hour. Principles do not. Discipline is an act of faith. It is believing that consistent action today will produce reward tomorrow, even if you cannot see it yet. It is trusting that effort matters. It is trusting that seeds planted in silence will eventually grow. There is emotional freedom in discipline. At first, it feels restrictive. It feels uncomfortable. It feels demanding. But over time, it produces confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself, regardless of your mood, you develop unshakable belief. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop breaking promises to yourself. You stop living in cycles of excitement and disappointment. Instead, you become steady. Steadiness builds credibility with others and with yourself. And when you trust yourself, fear weakens, doubt decreases, strength increases. Discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It protects you from regret. It protects you from wasted time. It protects you from self-sabotage. Emotion asks, what do I feel right now? Discipline asks, who do I want to become? And the person you become is determined by which voice you follow most often. If you want results that last, you must build habits that outlive emotion, because motivation fades, excitement fades, even inspiration fades. But discipline remains. It remains when you are tired. It remains when you are discouraged. It remains when no one is watching. It remains when progress is slow. And over time, discipline creates something emotion never could: transformation rooted in consistency, strength rooted in character, and success built on unwavering commitment. The world does not pay you for your time. It pays you for your value. You can work long hours and still struggle. You can be busy all day and still make little progress. Because effort alone is not the currency of success. Value is. Value is your ability to solve problems. Value is your ability to improve situations. Value is your ability to make someone's life, business, or community better. The marketplace responds to contribution, not complaints. It rewards solutions, not intentions. This principle is both practical and deeply spiritual. Across every faith tradition, we are taught that what we give determines what we receive. Sowing precedes reaping. Service precedes elevation. When you create value for others, you align yourself with a divine law of exchange. Give generously, grow abundantly. When you focus only on what you want, frustration grows. When you focus on what you can give, opportunities grow. Emotionally, this shifts everything. Instead of feeling overlooked, you become indispensable. Instead of feeling underpaid, you become undeniable. Instead of feeling stuck, you become valuable enough that doors must open. The person who solves small problems earns small rewards. The person who solves big problems earns big rewards. It is not luck, it is leverage. Ask yourself powerful questions. What skills can I improve? What knowledge can I gain? What problems can I learn to solve better than most? When you increase your skills, you increase your confidence. When you increase your confidence, you increase your courage. When you increase your courage, you increase your impact. And impact attracts reward. There is an emotional dignity in becoming valuable. It removes envy. It removes comparison. It replaces jealousy with self-improvement. Instead of asking, why do they earn more? You begin asking, how can I become worth more? That question alone can change your life. Value requires discipline. It requires learning when others are relaxing. It requires practicing when others are procrastinating. It requires patience when others are chasing shortcuts. But shortcuts rarely create lasting reward. Skill does. Character does. Excellence does. Spiritually, developing value is stewardship. You are given talents not to hide, not to waste, but to multiply. When you refine your gifts, you honor the one who entrusted them to you. When you neglect your potential, you diminish your own capacity for impact. Reward is not something you chase. It is something you attract. When your value rises, your income rises. When your value rises, your influence rises. When your value rises, your opportunities multiply. And the most beautiful part, no one can take value away from you once it is built. Money can disappear. Positions can change. Circumstances can shift. But skills, character, and knowledge remain. If you want greater reward, stop chasing applause. Start building ability. If you want financial growth, commit to personal growth. If you want recognition, create results. The law is simple. Increase your value and reward will follow. Most people live their lives on repeat. Same habits, same mistakes, same excuses. Not because they lack potential, but because they lack reflection. Experience alone does not create growth. Evaluated experience does. You can work hard for years and remain stuck if you never pause to ask, what is this teaching me? Without reflection, time passes, but wisdom does not increase. Days go by, but direction does not improve. Reflection is the discipline of stopping long enough to think. It is stepping away from the noise of activity to examine your actions, your decisions, your reactions. It is asking yourself uncomfortable but necessary questions. What did I do well today? Where did I waste time? Where did emotion control me? Where could I have chosen better? That process sharpens awareness, and awareness is the beginning of transformation. There is something deeply spiritual about reflection. Many sacred traditions emphasize self-examination. Before correcting the world, examine yourself. Before judging others, evaluate your own heart. Accountability to the self builds integrity before accountability to others ever will. When you reflect daily, you become your own mentor. You begin to notice patterns. You see repeated weaknesses. You identify strengths you can develop further. Instead of drifting through life, you steer it. Emotionally, reflection requires humility. It forces you to admit mistakes. It exposes inconsistency. It reveals where you fell short. But within that humility lies growth. Because the moment you can see clearly, you can improve intentionally. Most people avoid reflection because it feels uncomfortable. They would rather distract themselves than confront themselves. But distraction delays growth. Reflection accelerates it. Think about this. If you correct one mistake today, you prevent repeating it tomorrow. If you adjust one habit tonight, you save weeks of frustration. If you gain one lesson daily, you gain 365 lessons in a year. That is compounded wisdom. Reflection turns pain into instruction, turns failure into strategy. It turns confusion into clarity. Without reflection, failure feels like defeat. With reflection, failure becomes education. There is also emotional power in seeing progress. When you reflect, you notice improvement. You see how far you have come. You gain confidence from correction. You gain strength from growth. That builds belief in yourself. Growth is not automatic. It is intentional. A few minutes of honest evaluation each day can change the direction of your life. It realigns your focus. It strengthens your discipline. It keeps you accountable when no one else is watching. Reflection is like sharpening a blade. You can swing harder or you can sharpen smarter. The person who reflects regularly improves faster, wastes less energy, and avoids repeated regret. If you want to grow quickly, pause frequently. If you want clarity, examine consistently. If you want progress, evaluate honestly. Because the life you inspect improves faster than the life you ignore. Success is rarely the result of one dramatic decision. Failure is rarely the result of one major mistake. Life moves in small patterns, quiet repetitions, daily routines. The habits you repeat quietly today will speak loudly in your future. Most people underestimate small actions because they do not see immediate results. They want transformation overnight. They want visible progress instantly. But growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. A single workout does not transform a body. A single prayer does not transform a soul. A single hour of study does not create mastery. But repeated consistently, these small actions reshape identity. There is a spiritual principle hidden in this truth. Seeds are small, yet inside a seed is a tree. You plant something tiny, and over time, with patience and care, it multiplies beyond imagination. In the same way, habits are seeds planted daily in the soil of your life. What you plant consistently, you will harvest eventually. Emotionally small habits may feel insignificant. You might think this doesn't matter. But what feels small today compounds tomorrow. One positive habit builds confidence. That confidence builds discipline. That discipline builds momentum. And momentum builds transformation. The danger is not one bad decision. The danger is one bad habit repeated daily. The power is not one great effort. The power is one great habit repeated faithfully. Think about the person who reads 10 pages a day. It feels small, but in a year, that is thousands of pages. That is knowledge accumulated quietly. That is growth that others will call talent or luck, not realizing it was simply daily discipline. Think about the person who saves a small amount consistently. It may not feel impressive at first, but over time it builds security, confidence, and freedom. Small deposits create large reserves. Small habits shape identity. When you wake up early consistently, you become disciplined. When you practice gratitude consistently, you become positive. When you speak truth consistently, you become trustworthy. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. There is something emotionally powerful about realizing that massive results are not out of reach. They are built within reach through manageable daily actions. You do not need to change your entire life in one day. You need to win the day, then repeat. Small improvements prevent overwhelming pressure. Instead of chasing perfection, you pursue progress. And progress repeated long enough becomes excellence. Spiritually, faithfulness in small things leads to greater responsibility. When you manage your time well, you are trusted with more opportunity. When you steward your health well, you gain more energy. When you develop your character daily, you gain influence. Greatness is not built in public moments. It is built in private routines. The person who masters small habits masters their direction, and direction determines destiny. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. What you repeat consistently shapes who you become permanently. Massive results are not created by massive actions alone. They are created by small habits practiced with commitment, patience, and belief. Motivation is a spark. Consistency is a flame. A spark can excite you for a moment. A flame can sustain you for a lifetime. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act. They wait for the perfect mood, the right energy, the emotional push. But motivation is emotional and emotions fluctuate. Some mornings you feel unstoppable. Other mornings you feel drained. If your progress depends on how you feel, your results will always be unstable. Consistency does not ask how you feel. It asks what you committed to. There is a powerful spiritual truth in this. Faithfulness in small, repeated actions carries more weight than occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Anyone can act when inspired. Few can act when uninspired. Anyone can be disciplined for a day. Few can be disciplined for months. Consistency builds trust first with yourself. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen your identity. You teach yourself that your word matters. And when you trust yourself, confidence rises naturally. Motivation shouts loudly at the beginning. Consistency whispers daily. But whispers repeated long enough become unshakable strength. Think about compound interest. Small deposits made regularly grow far beyond the original amount. The same principle applies to effort. 10 minutes of focused work every day for a year will outperform one intense week of motivation followed by months of inaction. Emotionally, consistency feels boring at times. It lacks excitement. It lacks applause. It lacks drama, but it carries power. While others start and stop, you continue. While others burn out, you build up. While others chase inspiration, you build infrastructure. Consistency turns effort into identity. You are not someone who tries. You are someone who does. There is also something deeply humbling about consistency. It requires patience. It requires perseverance. It requires faith that results will come even when they are not visible. Many people quit because they do not see immediate reward. But growth is often happening beneath the surface long before it appears above it. A tree does not grow taller every day in a noticeable way, but underground, roots are expanding. Stability is forming. Strength is developing. Consistency works the same way. Motivation may get you started. Consistency ensures you finish. If you exercise only when inspired, your health will fluctuate. If you save money only when excited, your finances will remain unstable. If you work on your goals only when you feel confident, your dreams will remain fragile. But when you show up daily regardless of emotion, progress becomes inevitable. Consistency removes negotiation. It removes excuses. It replaces maybe tomorrow with today again. And that repetition creates momentum that becomes difficult to stop. The person who is consistent does not need constant encouragement. Their routine becomes their strength. Their discipline becomes their shield. Their repetition becomes their advantage. Motivation fades quickly. Consistency compounds quietly. And over time, what compounds always wins. If you want a different life, don't wait for a different year. Start with a different week. 7 focused days. 5 intentional habits. 0 excuses. Your future is not decided by luck. It is decided by what you repeatedly do. Start today. 1 week from now, you won't recognize your mindset.